Hello, welcome back to a brand new week. um, it's early this week. It's Monday. We're not going to do too much today. I just thought I would talk about a couple of things that I want to try to do this week, and then get to it. So this week, I would like to stay on theme of making a couple smaller things that, like we did last week. We made the frogs and the turtles. They went over really, really well. People liked them. Well, the big turtle's already gone. Somebody already bought that, and I thought that was really awesome. And I might have to make another one or two. I told her that I could make a bigger one when I thought about when we first made the first one is making it more of an oval shaped as opposed to just the circle and that kind of stuff. And she seemed pretty interested in that. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes. It's cooling off. The last couple of weeks, it's actually been really unseasonably warm here in Alberta, in southern Alberta. It's the middle of winter, but we were in the plus Celsius degree mark. We were at 15 degrees a couple of days ago, and it was just like that theme for a couple of weeks. And so it was really, really cold, and then it warmed up for a couple of weeks, and it's still looking to stay above zero during the day for a little while longer, but it's cooling off overnight quite a bit. So I've had the heater running. I had the heater off for a couple of days last week. But anyway, the weather update. There you go. I expect that we're going to get another snow infested couple of weeks with some minus 20s and 30s, and we're not done with winter yet, but we're getting there. But either way, my theming is outdoor decor for your gardens and your ponds and all that kind of stuff. In and around the area that I'm at, people have acreages and larger gardens and that kind of stuff. Less in the city. Like in the city, people just have condos and smaller yards and stuff like that. But for the people around here, let's make some stuff that they can put out in their gardens and around their ponds and whatever that they have. I think if winter ends early, which it looks like it might, though, people are going to have more springtime and summertime to want to work on those things. So let's make some things to make that happen. But for this week I want to try to make some flowers because it's Valentine's week, and I figured it'd be pretty cool to try to make a couple of garden flowers, some tall ones. We can make maybe a big-ish sunflower if I can figure out that, and we'll do some daisies, some bigger ones. Again, we're probably not going to paint too many of these things, just because I think if I paint it, then it's set that way. Whereas if somebody says, "Hey, can it be this color?" they can do whatever they want with it. And I think that kind of concept came out well with the frogs and the turtles and stuff. Yeah, so anyway, my first thing is I'm going to try to make a little rose. Little is, we'll see how little it really is. And I have an idea on how to do it. I've seen a couple videos in the past of people drawing out material and then putting the petals into a longer piece of material and then rolling that material into the rose head. So I want to try to do that. I'm not going to cut new rasps to do it, just because I don't know if I can do it. And so what I want to do is this was one of the guys that we were going to use on the reining horse, but we decided against it. We used the other one for the tongues of the frogs. So I think I'm going to just re-straighten this guy out and see if I can get some petals pounded into it. So we're going to work on the anvil quite a bit for the first part here. No horseshoes in this, I don't think, unless we use a skinny horseshoe for the stem, but we're not there yet. So I would like to just see what I can do with this. I don't know how far away I'd want the petals, the drawn out petals to be and that kind of stuff. So I'd like to practice. And so we're going to bring this over to the forge and we're going to bring you guys along and we're just going to pound on the anvil for a while. And we might run out of propane. If we do, then we'll have to cut it short and then we'll have to come back in a day or two when I have time to go get more propane. But either way, let me just start the forge up, heat this guy up. We'll straighten him back out, and then we'll just pound away and see if we can get it to the point. I have no idea how I'm going to twist it into its final form yet, so I'm going to think about that while we're pounding on it. I don't have a tool that it would work with just now, but we might have to make one, which is fine. If I make a hardy tool or something that this has a way for us to clamp onto it so we can really pull this guy around. But let's get it set up to do so first, and then we'll figure out how we're going to do that. All right, so now that we got more or less flat, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to heat up sections of it because I can't heat up the whole thing because it's long. And then I'm just going to use the round side of the hammer to just try to draw out certain spots. I think I might try to just hammer it flatter all the way across before we start drawing it out actually. And then we'll try to draw out some petals. We'll see. All right, so it's not going according to plan. It's going, but you can see here that I got some ripples going. Now I want them out a bunch further than that, but I like the thickness of them. I was hoping to not ruin this side as much, but if you can see here, that all of the scale looking raspy parts are kind of blending together, but again, this is just a test to see how well I can do this. I think I'm just going to pound away at this, see if I can get these looking okay, and then we'll see what it looks like when I'm done. So we'll be back with some more pounding when I get there. All right, so I've been pounding away at it, and you can see that we got a bunch of ripples now. Now they're not that deep, and I was hoping they'd be deep, but there's also developed this curve in it that I don't like. I don't know if I want it or not, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this cross peen hammer and just slowly, after a couple of heats, I'm just going to hit in between the petals. Maybe it'll give us some more definition and hopefully straighten them out a little bit too. But it wants to buckle. And I have a feeling this thing might break on me, so I'm just trying to be very cautious, very careful. And I don't want to hit it when it's too cold. But you can see that the petals are forming. I just don't know if they're going to be good enough for what I'm looking for. It's heating up pretty fast. It's cooling down just as fast. So I'm just trying to heat it, tap it, heat it, tap it. And I know that that can create issues as well, but I'm just really trying to be careful. Again, this is a test. I have another idea on how to make petals. I just wanted to see if this one would work. But one of my other ideas is just to take a standard rasp. This one's been cut, and we can just cut out petals and then heat it up, and then just heat the petal up, and then just smack it with the hammer to flatten it out and give us that look. And then we can weld all the petals together in a rose formation. And from there, we can weld it to a stand and then heat it up again and then manipulate the petals individually. That's generally the idea on what you want to do, but I wanted to try and see if this worked for me. So the curve's coming out. I don't know if I want to take it all the way out, because I'm pretty sure that the curve will help when we actually decide to roll it. The curve will help keep everything going in a... But I'm wondering if the curve needs to be the other way. Again, this is not a end-all break-all. It's just a good way to start the week. Pounding some metal, getting the strength in the hands. I don't have a lot right now because we haven't been doing a lot other than straightening some shoes every once in a while. We haven't been doing a lot on the anvil, so just adjusting the shape of shoes is all we do. So I thought it'd be fun to potentially make something here this week. But again, if it doesn't work, it's okay. It's absolutely fine. All right, so what I've done, or what I've decided, I haven't done anything. Well, I have done. I've cut the ends off of it to give me a little bit more room, I guess. I don't know. And what I'm going to try to do, I tried to rig up something to roll it on. It's not going to work. This is going to get too cold too fast. So what I'm going to try to do is just roll it by hand on the anvil. Now I'm going to need a lighter hammer, I think, and just a light touch. And we're just going to try to, it's just kind of like a scroll hook is made. We're going to try to do that and see if we can roll the whole thing over with just lightly trying to roll it the whole time. It might take 1.5 million heats, but we'll see if we can get it done. So what we want to do is we want to try to roll it over this way a little bit. And we bring it back this way. Make sure. We want to try to do it as tight as possible. I just don't know if I have the skills for that. Everything else is wanting to bend first. So just kind of like that. We're just going to keep trying to make a spiral. over and over and over again until we can get to where it's resembling something we want it to look like. I'll do it a little loose later on so that the pedals are easily manipulated. But the first couple of turns we're going to want to do pretty tight, as tight as it's going to allow me to. I feel like maybe I should have thinned out the metal a little bit more for this. And maybe the pedals should have been bigger. But who knows? Maybe it will look cool. Even if it doesn't look like a rose. Maybe it will look like something. Something's better than nothing. Okay. Looks like we may have something that resembles a rose. So much so we might not need to start again. I'm just going to heat it up so it looks cool when I show you. Now I think I have an idea on how to make the bulb look more bulbous and get some of the petals to be able to kind of come out so it's like it's blooming a little bit, because right now it looks like a tight, unbloomed rose, which is also fine. But if I can get it to bloom, that'd be awesome. Anyway, so there we go. Look at that guy. Look at that. Even a little bit on the top. So we did leave some marks in it with the tongs that I didn't want to. But that's looking pretty good, especially that little end part there. There might be some detail work we can do to it, but I'm not really worried about that. But yeah. Little cinnamon bun on the bottom. Awesome. All right, let's turn this off. And we'll talk about what we're going to do with it. So my idea here is, if I find the way we want to do the stem, and then I weld the stem to the bottom, then I have something to hold on to. I could then reheat the whole thing up, and I think we just hit the bottom edge of it until it kind of rounds over into the stem. So then the stem's kind of going up into it, which would be really nice too. And then that might pull apart some of the stuff in the top, which I think it's looking pretty cool. And I think we're gonna, like, after we're done that, we'll heat it up some more, and then I'll just take some pliers and just kind of like pull the petals a little bit apart, just a little bit. But it came out okay for the first attempt, I think. it's definitely something I probably would have wanted to do larger when I was hammering in the pedals to the rasp the first time. I should have put more oomph into it and made them bigger. But again, I wasn't sure what it was going to look like. But if I made them bigger, I'm wondering if I like cut notches into the stem or into the rasp. So we have the rasp and we just cut notches where we want the pedals to be. And then we forge it out that way. That will first of all stop it from the bowing as much as it did in the one direction. And it will give us a little bit more pedal looking stuff. So I don't have another rasp cut to test that out with. So I'll probably get another one cut and we'll try this again. We'll probably try this again. The other flowers and whatnot we're making this week are going to be pretty easy. It's just cleaning horseshoes and putting them in orientations that resemble flowers. I think this is going to be the toughest project of the week in this scenario, which is awesome. All right, so we're going to let this cool. I'm going to go and have dinner. And when we come back later in this week, hopefully tomorrow, but when we come back, we're going to continue to work on this guy. It's just a tiny little rose. I was expecting it to be bigger, but again, my brain doesn't process this stuff until it's done, and now I know. All right, we'll be back. All right, so I just want to do a couple more things and try a couple more things out before we start moving on to the other stuff. So first off is this little guy that we finished making. It's still pretty cool. It's got some rust and stuff I'm going to have a hard time getting out of there. But maybe I don't get it out of there, which is fine. And then I took a tang off of an old piece of rasp, just like this. And I cut it off. Oops. I cut it off and then I just drew it out. I heated it up, drew it out. And I'm going to use this as the stem for this little guy. And we're just going to stick them in there, weld them, and then we're going to be able to hold on to that while we try to shape the bottom part of this bulb, which hopefully that will work out for us. We're going to see. We're going to see if that works out. And in the meantime, I've cut up another rasp because I mentioned maybe if we cut the petals into it, it might go a little bit smoother. And so this is the cuts I made. I cut the end off, and then I did, this first one's 1/4 of an inch, then inch, 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 inch and a half, 2 inch, 2 inch. And I figured that might be all right. We'll see. This is all just an experiment. I didn't make the cuts thick. Like I didn't put a lot of gap in between each cut. I could have cut more out, that kind of thing. And I didn't do that. And I don't think I want to adjust it at all. I was thinking about it. And the one thing that it will give us is having these guys be able to spread out more when we forge it. But also, I think that when we're rolling it, they might be able to overlap kind of like actual real rose petals. So we'll see how this turns out. If they just forge back into each other, then the cuts were kind of useless. But this should give us an opportunity to draw these tops of these petals out. And then I can just spin it up from there. I don't think I'm going to worry about thinning out the bottom as much. I'll try a little bit, but I don't want it to be all bubbly. I don't want it to be wavy down here. So we're gonna see how this turns out. So I'm gonna work on this for a little bit. When we come back, hopefully I'll have something to show you in regards to this guy, because I'm going to do him just the same way I did the small guy. I'm going to do it the same way I did this guy, and so let's just see if it looks better or worse. Who knows? Okay, so I've taken both of these quote-unquote roses. This guy's still pretty warm, but so we got the bigger one, and I've just welded a piece of rebar onto it. I didn't realize until after that it has some words and numbers on it. This is Stio, S-T-I-O-W. I don't know. I did. Okay, so yeah, that smoke came off of my glove there. And then it said 400. So I don't know. But I'm having a hard time trying to get them rounded and more bulb-like towards the bottom. And so with this guy, same kind of thing. The weld on this one is just not great, but we can fix that. So what I wanted to do is I put it in the forge, and then I started just rounding it out, and then I realized that the end of it kept flaring back out, and then when I tried to fix it, it would bubble up somewhere else. And so what I've done is I've just kind of welded it to itself. And what I want to do is I want to try to put it in the forge now, and then see if I can get this bottom to go more cone-shaped towards the bottom, and see if I can get it to look a little bit better that way. I mean, they don't look terrible now, but I mean, it just doesn't look like this way. It doesn't look like a rose. I thought about bending it so that the rose head was kind of curved over, so that you can hide some of that imperfection and stuff. But maybe, who knows? But with this guy in such a small little stem, it's kind of hard. But this is the practice one. So what I want to do is we're going to heat it up, and then if it works, then we'll weld this one together too, and then from there, because this one has a lot more edges to it. I don't know if you can see it's a little bit more triangular in places, and I'd like to try to fix that before we try to splay out the petals a little bit. And I might take this, I might grind down the rebar a bit just to get it a little skinnier, and then we can get rid of those letters and numbers, but I don't know if we'll do that. We'll see. But I want to try to heat this guy up and see if we can get it a little bit more bulbous on the bottom. So we'll see how that works. Not too shabby. We're going to leave it like that for now. Now, I don't know if that rebar is long enough for me to grab it and it not burn me, but I don't have a pair of tongs really that I'm going to be able to use to do that with. So I'm going to switch over to my welding gloves to hold on to it. And if it doesn't work, then we're going to try a different pair of tongs that might work. So was going to just keep going, but it's coming along pretty good actually. And so what I want to do now is I'm just going to heat it up, and then I'm just going to take a pair of pliers and start moving the petals around just a little bit and see if I can get them to look a little bit more bloomy. All right. I think that's the best I'm going to get it. Looks pretty cool when it's still red, which is awesome. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let this cool down. I'm going to figure out the stem. I might grind it. Who knows? We'll see when we come back. And then we're going to figure out a couple of leaves. And then we're going to figure out if we put a couple curves into this or not, which means we'll have to heat it up again. But we should let it cool down a little bit, and then I'm going to try to start mapping out some of the other projects. So yeah, we'll be right back. All right, hello, welcome back. So I went and got the propane for the forge, and so that was good. And I've taken care of most of what we want to do with the roses here. The little one, I don't know if we're going to put leaves on. If we do, it'll be something small and cheap. Not cheap, but you know what I mean. But what I have here is just a pile of really rusty, well, the rustiest shoes I got. I thought I would have a lot more than this. And one of the things I want to do is make one of these flowers out of the rusty shoes. So I'm not going to clean them. I'm just going to try to put them in a fashion that resembles a flower and put them together. I did make two centers for the flower though. I made two circles, one pretty small and one larger. And I haven't decided which one we're going to use. So we're going to test some things out here. And hopefully we can come up with something. I'm hoping it looks kind of like a daisy or something along those lines. And I think we might make two of those, one rusty and one clean. And then we'll just cut some more rebar and slap it on. For the big rose, I did end up grinding the rebar, the ribs off. And it looks really good actually. I'll show it to you when it cools off. I'm not going to pick it up. I actually grabbed the head of the rose while it was still pretty hot, and I almost melted my glove to my hand. But I didn't get hurt. It smoked pretty quick, and then I was like, oh. Anyway, and so these are all just different sizes of shoes and different things. And so I just want to see what it would look like if we just kind of put some of these around. Now the symmetry master in me is going to want to be like, they need to be symmetrical, and I'm going to symmetry master. I'm not a master, but you get what I'm saying. This might actually just work like this. So my thought process here is that we do one layer. I was hoping to just get 3 around this, but it looks like it's going to have to be 4. Unless I widen some of them. But again, I don't want to alter them too much. But maybe we use the widest ones. The widest ones seem to be the shortest ones, though, so it'll be hard to do. The process here is to put some around the outside of the circle and then put some in the center just to fill it in, some smaller ones. But I don't have smaller rusty ones. I could check again, but let's see here. If we do take the widest ones we got, can we get it to 3? Still no. We get it to 4 for sure on this one. Unless we just leave gaps. Yeah, if we leave gaps, that might work actually. So, we'll take these shorter, fat ones out. Try to leave some gaps. Some of these shoes are really warped, and so I might have to bang them a little bit. I'm just hoping the rust doesn't get knocked off. They'll rust again over time, but I thought it would be nice and interesting to try to get them to just be kind of rusty. That's kind of what we're going for here. Using the wrong brush. All right. What do you guys think of that? That's not too shabby, hey? Cool. Now we're going to use this part here to weld the stem on. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this piece of rebar here. And I'm going to just weld it at length, with its length already intact here. And then we'll cut it off to the length we want after we have it there. So I'm going to go and brush this up, and then I'm going to get it ready to get welded on. And then I'll figure out how to keep it level. And then we'll put it on. There we go. Not too shabby. I like it. I actually quite like it. I think it's just enough. I can't decide whether I want to take the green off of the pole or not, or the stem. And then I can't decide how tall this should be. So I'm going to think about that. But there you go. This guy. And maybe we add some leaves. I actually have some really old rusty rafts that we can maybe cut up into leaves, which would be pretty nice. But for now, we got our roses. Now, I plan on giving at least this rose to Courtney for Valentine's Day. I thought that would be fun. But if we look here, I want to brush up the stem and make it shiny, and then the leaves and the flower head are not shiny. And then so we have these guys. Now I didn't put any leaf markings on them. I debated whether I should put a line in there and that kind of stuff, make it look more like leaves. But I decided not to, mainly for the reason is I think that it's just all just hand forged, like hammered together kind of stuff, and there's not a lot of detail. The only detail in the rose head came from the forging process pretty much. I barely moved any of the petals by hand. So I like the idea of it all just being kind of just hand forged. So what I'm thinking is that I'm going to go and brush this guy up, the stem, and then we'll weld those ends, the leaves on, and then we'll have to brush it a little bit more. I don't want to try to brush the whole stem with the leaves on it because that'd be silly. And then we got this guy that I'm thinking about trying to make one leaf for, but that's something I probably do off. But I put a curve in this guy too. Maybe he's like a little lapel rose. That'd be pretty all right, hey? Pretty heavy for a lapel rose, but yeah. So I'm going to go and brush this guy up, and then we come back, we'll put the leaves on, and we'll just see how much we really like this. And I think I might top coat it. I don't want it to rust. I want it to stay like this. So fun. All right, we'll be right back. Huh. Would you look at that? We made ourselves a rose. I was holding it way down here, sorry. But yeah, look at that. I'm pretty happy with it. I mean, it's not perfect. I mean, obviously, if I did it 100 times, I'd probably get really good, especially like the head. I don't know how I would do it different just yet, but I figure if I think about it, I could probably, figure it out. Oh, I'm trying to get it to stand. There we go. Kind of looks like a flower. I like it. That's pretty awesome. That's pretty awesome. I think. I think like it took the longest for sure. A lot longer than I would hoped. But between that and this little guy, we got a couple flowers. Not too shabby. Not too shabby indeed. I wonder if I could make a dozen of them. That'd be fun. But it would take a long time for me, I think. I think that side's the best side, to be honest. Even though it's got the weld in there, but I like the fact that you can see the petal is not one piece, whereas the other sides are all, So I think that looks pretty good. And then we got our big flower going. It's like a wizard staff right now, but yeah, I think I'm going to bring it down to about waist high, maybe 3 feet. And yeah, so it's just a 3-foot flower, and then we can have some more of this rebar for the next flower. So the next flower, I'm going to do very similar to this one here. We're just going to try to make it, we're going to clean the shoes, make sure they're all straight, that kind of stuff. And then the variation in them will come from the way we weld them on, not from the state of the shoes themselves. So, yeah, I think I'm going to brush the green off of this. I don't know how I'm going to get in there now, though, but I think I might try to take the green off of this. Maybe not. Who knows? It's just because like there's not green up here, but then it starts green down here and it's all chippy. But I guess it kind of matches this type of flower, I think. Who knows? I'll think about it. But the next one we'll definitely clean up. And yeah, so come back or stay tuned, I guess. Not come back because it's all one video, but stay tuned and we'll get at least one more flower done. I kind of have an idea for another one, but I'm going to see if I can shape the shoes first before we talk about it, because if I can't shape the shoes that way, then it's just a waste of a conversation. So, yeah, I'm going to go and have lunch with my wizard staff. All right. Hello, hello. And we're back with the second flower. Now, there are a couple of things that I've been working on here and there while we've getting this prepared. So I have about 13 shoes. Well, 12 shoes that I'm going to use for pedals. So this is going to be a thicker one. And there might be some more additional detail to this that we want to do. But for now, we're going to stick them on. The rose has been sprayed and coated with the top coat, and it came out really, really nice. And then I realized I don't want to just have it just be that rose. So what I've done is I'm making kind of a holder for it. And I've reshaped this Delta shoe. I have this bar that's going to sit in here, and then I have this little tube. We have this round tube stock that I just cut a piece off. I tried to thin it out a little bit so the rose wouldn't rattle around in there, but we're going to try to stick this guy in here, stick this guy on there, and then hopefully the rose will hold on to it. Or it will hold on to the rose. And then I made this heart that did not come out the way I wanted it to, that I was going to put on the holder as well. So we might put that on, we might not. It might just be the holder by itself. So we'll knock that out when we're done here. And then I made a couple little leaf things, just this rusty rasp. I've cut them up, and we're going to try to get them on the other big flower. Just a couple things ready to get going, but I have the first layer here. We're going to do 3 layers of petals on here, and then we might do something in the center of this guy. But yeah, we're going to see. And I'm going to weld it from the front, I think, on this one, just because I want everything to kind of come up a bit. So, and if I flipped it all upside down, it'd be flat. It'd be not the way I wanted it to be. So, yeah. So let me just get some of these on, and then we'll take a look at what it's going to be looking like. About, yeah. Now I want to do something in the center of this flower. I just don't know what. Yeah. So I was hoping to do something here and kind of just make like a bulby part or something. And there's an idea to just cut off the toes of a couple of shoes and just kind of line them up in the middle, and that'll give us a little bulby look. But I don't know if I want to do that. Or I could try to shape some rasp pieces to fit in there. And then that'll give it a good, like, because I want it to be a darker center, so we're going to not shine them up like we shined up the others. And so there's that. But yeah, there's some options. And I still don't have the stem ready. I have a couple of options for the stem. But neither one of them are great. I'll show them to you now. Well, I have 3 options for the stem if I really want it. But I have 2 pieces of rebar over here that are bigger than the other rebar, which is great. We have this honkin' guy. This guy is huge and heavy and just crazy heavy, and we'd have to do a little work on him to get him correct. But I think he's like almost perfect in the size variation for what the stem should be. We have this guy is a little bit smaller, which would be great, but I think he might be too short. So I'm debating. I'm debating on this stuff. And then we just have regular round bar. I'm not going to grab one of the, I have 6-foot pieces of round bar, which are pretty much just this guy. This guy's been like hammered flat. I don't know who worked on this piece, but we used a piece of this to help make our bending jig that broke. But we could just use a piece of round bar. But all 3 options make this entirely really heavy. This whole thing just very heavy. But this guy's a little small, so I don't know. I haven't really figured out how I want to get the stem to work on this. So while we figure that out, I'm going to put it off to the side so we can stare at it for a little bit. What we're going to do here is we're going to get these little leafies on this guy here. Now, see if it actually holds it up. It holds it up. It's pretty awesome. Now, what do I want to do? Do I want to put the flower on it? Or the flower? This is a heart. I don't like the heart too much, but I think it might make it look pretty good. I don't know. I'll have to make that decision. I'll have to make that decision whenever I have a time to make that decision. Oh, it fell over. Yikes. It's not what I wanted to happen. All right. Well, I'm going to take a break and try to figure out the last couple of things. So the big flower, and then to finish off Courtney's Valentine's Day gift. I don't know exactly what I'm going to do, but I'm going to ponder using this short guy the most, I think, on the big flower, just because it's like the perfect size, and it would take less work than anything else, but I think it's going to be too short. It'd be about the same length as this, and that flower is a lot beefier, so I don't know. We'll see what I come up with when we come back. So I got an idea for the big flower, and then I just started working on it, and I never turned the camera back on. So we're done. I just didn't record finishing off the large flower or putting this heart on, but it's done. It's there. So this heart is got a glossy coating on it. I thought that was going to be a good contrast to the satin coating we put on everything else. I think it kind of just came together. So I really, really like that. And we got the little guy there, our little test rose. I think our little test rose is pretty awesome. I don't know a good way to put them. Anyway, and then we got our rusty flower, our junkyard flower, I think I want to call it, which is pretty awesome. I got no way of putting them for the end here. And then we got the big guy. We're going to talk about the big guy. So I'm going to bring him closer to you to start. So I did do the center thing with the toes of the shoes. I was racking my brain on what to do with it, and then decided to go through my boxes of pieces of shoes and rasp, and just to see if anything was good. And then there was these 3 shoes that were all just cut, all exactly like this. I just grinded a little bit to get them in there, and they're in there. Some of the welds are pretty gnarly, but it came out. I think this flower looks really cool. So, and then now you can see the stem. So the stem, I decided to go with just the round bar. And then I found this wire. It was actually wrapped around that really large piece of rebar we had. So I unwrapped it. And then I cleaned it up and I wrapped it around the stem of this guy. You can see it broke right there by that one leaf. It broke there, so I just welded it. And so it's just tack welded on there because it just kept, like, even on the lowest settings I could get my welder, it just kept breaking this wire. And so I don't have a lot of faith that these wires are going to stay on here very well, but hey, you know, they're on there right now. So, and then the leaves, we just grabbed a couple of really skinny shoes and then made them more skinny and just kind of stuck them on there. And I think the cleaned up wire gives this little vine kind of look thing. And I just brushed the round bar. It stayed that dark. So that's really cool. And I think this guy came out really, really well. I really enjoyed making this guy. So yeah, I don't know how to present these on the desk. So not great. Yeah, I just think the flower week went really, really well. Valentine's week, it's Valentine's Day tomorrow, so we're going to finish up a little early just so I can get these out and posted. The videos still come out Sunday, I think, but I want to make sure that I can give that to Courtney tomorrow. And then I get these down in the barn probably tomorrow as well. See if anybody enjoys them at all. Can we just maybe... I don't know if I can. I don't have any way of keeping this on here. I wanted for the thumbnail, I guess. Like I can hold one. I can just hold one. I don't really think about the thumbnail very often. I just take a screen grab of something we've done and just go. But this time I wanted to. But here, let's get these all situated so you can see them. There we go. They're pretty cool. I really enjoyed making them. I don't think I'd be really wanting to make more roses. There was just a lot of work. And not that I'm afraid of a lot of work. It's a lot of work for what it is. If I could think of a better way to do it, and I know, like I said earlier, if I make 100 of them, I'm pretty sure I'd get pretty quick at it. But it's not about how fast I made it either. It's just about the process of making it was bothersome. And so I think maybe if I make like a hardy hole jig or something I can clamp, and then I can just slide the rasp in and then be able to wrap it around that. I really want a leg vise, but I have nowhere in here to put one. A leg vise is just a really big vise that is attached to your workbench, but also is braced on the ground, so it's like really sturdy and heavy and that kind of stuff. And I thought about getting one and putting it on that bench over there, but I just don't know if it will hold it. But if I had a leg vise, things would be easier because I could just literally clamp stuff together and then pull it around. So that's something I'm looking for. I'll just get a used one somewhere, some point in time. I have notifications set if anything cheap comes up. I'd buy one. I don't think I'd buy a new one, but I'd definitely buy an old one and try to repurpose, not repurpose it, but use it in the shop. But yeah, that's my I think that might be my next little thing. It probably won't be cheap, but a leg vise would be a lot of fun for in here. That, a bandsaw, and a belt sander. I think those are drill press. Those are all the tools that I'm constantly thinking about grabbing, but I'm not going to go out and spend hundreds of dollars. I think the shop would have to start making money, more money. It's not really making money now, but that wasn't the goal. It's becoming the goal. The more that people are interested in the things, the more I have to think about pricing and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, I think this is week 51. So week 52 is the 1 year mark, which will be good. So next week we'll do something fun, and then this month should be pretty fun. So I have an idea for next week. It's not a big, long idea. I think me and Courtney got some stuff doing next week, so I might not be in the shop very much. But I do have an idea for next week, so that should be fun. But thanks for hanging out. Thanks for watching and just being here. If you made it this far, awesome. Thank you. And we'll see you again next week for week 52, I think. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure, but I'm not 100% sure. But we'll see you next week.